really you're paying the teacher to assess.
Right.
And then the California achievement test costs like $25 to sign your kid up and for the test materials or whatever. And then how about the Iowa?
The Iowa I just did this year with my daughter, and I would say it was $45.
Okay.
I always do the California achievement test from kindergarten to 5th grade. Kindergarten I don't even do because I haven't even notified yet. I don't notify until they're 6, so I start my testing in 1st grade. California achievement test is only reading and language arts, so it's pretty concise and quick. And then after 5th grade, I have them take the Iowa, so they do more of the subjects, so I can see how we're doing in the subject areas. Are we covering stuff? Because I'll talk about later, but I don't use a traditional textbook approach, so I just want to make sure are we covering enough of the basis.
Why don't we go ahead and have you go ahead? I'm done with all my information. All right. You can sit or you can go whatever you want to do.
I have one more question about this, but if there's going to be another assessment you ask later.
No, go ahead.
What about the, whatever it's called now, the OGT? Is there ever a way for the student to just take the Ohio standardized test?
You have to contact your school system, and then you set yourself up for having the test on their schedule.
Right.
At their times, and then also putting your kid into a situation with all these kids they don't know.
Right. So they would have to probably go into that school
Yes.
safety
And
code.
the other problem with the OGT too is the schools teach towards the OGT.
Right.
So if you're not teaching the same thing as schools are,
Right.
they may not coordinate with the test.
Right.
And the school system might not be open to that because so much of their funding is based on those tests. So they might not want to open it up. I don't know legally if they have to, but they might not want to open it up just because it affects their test scores, which then affects
I
their
see.
funding. The California Achievement Test in Iowa is very easy to administer. They're both
Okay.
easy.
Oh, yeah.
The only, probably the most difficult thing is just finagling all the kids so that it's relatively quiet.
Yeah.
At some point, I mean, that's probably the most difficult part. So, do you want me to?
Well, you can if whatever you're more comfortable with.
All right, well, I can stand up. Just to give you a little bit of background, my name's Julie Bruckmeyer, and I have 5 kids. I have a 12-year-old, and I have to think about 12-year-old, 11-year-old, 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So we are quite busy. We have been homeschooling the entire time. We were originally in Akron Public Schools, and we decided that that's not where we wanted our daughter to go. And had you told me when I was 20 that I'd be homeschooling my kids, I would have told you were nuts. There was no way that was going to happen. So we started, and we thought just the first year we're going to go ahead and do this. And every year I'd see the bus pass, and I'd be like, what is wrong with me? There goes the bus. They could be all, at this point this year, they could have all been getting on the bus. So each year that we've done this, that has decreased less and less. We're all like, there goes the bus. The one morning, one of the kids wanted to stand out and wave, and the person like, no, please come back inside the house. We do not need to rub it in anyone's face that you're not going to school and you're still in your pajamas. So I have a very eclectic style of homeschooling. You were talking about the ADHD, somebody was talking about it with the priest this morning or something.
Yeah.
And also my husband has a very erratic work schedule. I can't count on from week to week what he's going to be doing with work. One day he might work noon to 9, so that kills a morning for us. The next day he's off, so that has killed now another morning for us. So we do not use a packaged curriculum. I just kind of go through and pick and choose what I think is going to work best for our kids, which can be a little bit difficult. Sometimes I think if I could just stick with a packaged curriculum, there'd be the list, but then inevitably something comes up. I was going to talk about some of the circumstances where it has worked out for us for homeschooling. One of the big reasons was Alex, who is now 11. When he was 3, he was still not talking. And he went to speech therapy for 3 years. So I just figured, not talking, not getting a grasp of the language, he's going to have a difficult time with reading. And he did. We worked on reading with this kid for 4 or 5 years. We would sit down and he would cry, and I just thought, oh my gosh, this poor child is never going to get it. And this past Christmas, someone got him the Percy Jackson series. It's a mythological series, and he went nuts. It was like a light switch. And I have pictures of him, and I'm almost bawling thinking, I thought personality, had he been in the school system, it would have crushed him because he wasn't keeping up, he wasn't doing what they were doing. And to see him willingly taking a book off a shelf now and sitting down and reading and understanding it has just been one of the greatest accomplishments so far. Another thing that kind of happened during the homeschooling and put homeschooling on a little bit of a break is our last child was born 8 weeks early. So with the freedom of homeschooling, we were able to bring the kids to the hospital. They were able to come into the special care nursery. They met everyone who was taking care of Amanda. It wasn't like they left for the day and we dealt with all this and they came home and didn't understand why mom and dad were tired. And it was something that we all did together as a family. I tried to keep the schooling going during that time as much as I could. But just being able to go through that as a family. The other thing, my daughter broke her arm one time. And this goes back to Elena talking about being able to bond with the siblings. She broke her arm, we had to call the squad, they came and got her, it was broken in both arms. And she was in the hospital and she kept going, I miss my brothers. I miss my brothers. And all the nurses are looking at me like, what 9-year-old girl says she misses her brothers? You know, it was just the oddest thing. And it was also a time when I could really see her character. The entire time she's saying, please, thank you. I was amazed by her strength. And I know a lot of that had to do with us just spending so much time together and how you interact with people. And she went home the next morning. It was Good Friday 3 years ago, which was kind of, and we were having Easter at our house on Sunday, so I'm like, oh, this is lovely. And she came home the next morning. It's after a long winter. Anyone who has small kids and knows a long winter knows that by the end of the school year, you're all ready to go nuts. It's not different with homeschooling. It's worth it, but it's not different. And it was something that the kids just needed. They all just sat around her, just like these little like hens, they got her everything she needed. And my husband was like, you know, as terrible as this was, it was almost like something we needed as a family to make us realize, yes, we did all love each other. It was frightening, and it just glued us together even more. I don't know if those relationships would have been there had they spent the time, like she talked about with her sister, just not being as close. So my homeschooling, like I said, I pick and choose quite a different topics. I faithfully saw reading, writing, and math throughout the school year, and then all of our history and science. I get mainly everything from the library here. So, and this is yet another reason why I choose the Iowas when we get to 5th or 6th grade, because I want to make sure that we are covering the topics, since it's just not nice and tidy in a school book. But other than that, I think that is everything. Does anybody have any questions for me?
When you're saying you do your curriculum from the library, are you using living books?
Yes, literature, living books. I use this resource. This is what your child needs to know when. I use a packaged curriculum for, like I said, reading, writing, and math. I will choose whatever it is that I want to use for that, and that is their coursework for the year. But then throughout the rest of the year, it's not unschooling. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but we go to the library every single week. They're picking out books every single week. My daughter is 12 and she reads National Geographic for fun. So for me, had I assigned her that, she would not have done that. And she writes on her own too. And had I assigned her creative writing assignments, I don't get the same type of writing from her when it's something that she does on her own. So it's just a style that has worked for our family. I have a girlfriend who is the exact opposite of me, and we respect that about each other, and we're able to see their